Hello, hello, hello. It feels so good to be live with you. What I'm connecting with you on today is the concept of letting joy in, which in a way is a bit of a funny concept in itself. It's like, what do you mean? Feeling joy? That's so easy. That's something that we are naturally gifted with doing. And that's not actually the case. We block it. We don't allow it in, and there's a variety of reasons for why we do that. I'm just waiting to see some more of you join in live. It's a bit of a random hour here. 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern. So people are probably working. I think that's what people do at this time. We're all in different parts in our journeys and in our lives. But something that's really important to me is honoring, following my heart and following my calling when it shows up and not at the perfect time or the ideal time. Well, that's really useful at times. Today's energy is asking for flowing with what's feeling good in the moment. So, why am I talking about this today? Well, let me tell you a little bit about an experience that I had this morning / last night. So I went to bed around 8:30. It was still light outside. I was quite tired after a big day of just immense pleasure and nature and amazing, soulful company. And bought a bunch of my stuff came up afterwards. I feel like that's probably pretty going to be happening for many of you as well, in being in big social settings, or just being in social settings in general after the past year and a half that we've had. It may bring up some things for you. So went to bed early and I woke up at 2:30 in the morning and was feeling really low. My inner child, I could just feel her. And when I feel my inner child, just so maybe it can help you in connecting in with maybe when you're connecting with yours, or when yours is wanting to be heard, it's usually like some kind of like extreme emotion or heaviness that is not being addressed. And I knew after a big day of socializing that was her coming through, because there's been a lot about belonging and fitting in that's come up in my life. And I chose to come into this life as an only child, chose to have parents who would eventually move back to our home country of Poland, chose to have a life where I would eventually leave a marriage and be forced to be alone, and that also be my biggest fear. So waking up at 2:30 in the morning, hanging out with my inner child, who is allowing me, because I'm asking her, to see and connect with the immense fear that she had and the immense feelings of abandonment and lack of support she had when I was a child in bed. So for whatever reason, and I recall this very clearly, and I'm sure you watching probably have some memories of your childhood that really stand out in your mind, and you could probably close your eyes and feel like you're there again. And it was lying in bed and screaming at the top of my lungs for my parents, like, Mom, Dad, screaming, and my parents wouldn't come. Now, speaking to them and recalling some of this, they were with me earlier, and then they would leave the room, and then I would scream for them and they would come. So eventually they would just stop coming. But my fear didn't go away. I wanted them to sit with me or to lay with me until I fell asleep. I had a lot of dark thoughts as a child, a lot of fears around things that I heard about like Bloody Mary, like repeating, Bloody Mary in the mirror 3 times and her appearing, things that I heard about pedophiles and vans. Like, there was just a lot of things communicated to me, and I just did not feel safe. So I was really desiring that. So last night / this morning at 2:30, when I woke up, I could just hear that screaming that I used to do, like at the top of my lungs, in my head, and like my throat, like the raspiness of my throat and the pain in my chest of just being like, please come. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. And I felt like I was her. And if I didn't have someone living above me, I would have allowed myself to scream that way, to really allow it to move through. And in that moment, it was needed. But I allowed myself to feel it, and tears were just flowing down my eyes. And I could remember all the times as a little girl that I would fall asleep crying. And crying out of fear and feeling alone. And then, I would wake up and the day would go on. So having this really intense experience last night, and remembering those feelings, and remembering how often in my life, and how I still have moments in my life where I want to like scream at the top of my lungs, for that safety, or for that love, or for that security. And it shook me up last night. Like, I had a really hard time falling asleep, and I really honor my body, and when my body wakes up and doesn't want to go back to sleep, then I listen to it, because I know that there's something important going on. And it made me confront a bunch of things. I had a dialogue with that inner child, and I just had to be in the pain of feeling alone and feeling scared, and knowing where that stemmed from, or when that began, where I was probably 5-6 years old. Probably happened earlier. There were some other occurrences too as a toddler and things like that. And then being with that so that I could honor it and feel it and clear it in some ways. Often it doesn't just take one session or one experience with your inner child. It's continuing to connect back with them and doing the work. And then eventually I fell asleep, I think around 7:00, for an hour. So I was in that state for about 4.5 hours. Woke up, had a dream actually, and my dream was great. There was like a lot going on in it, and I was going on some adventures, and I was very grateful. I had a lot of conversations with my spirit guides last night, just asking for help and asking for support, and asking them to help me, which is something that you can do, and I highly encourage it if you're not already. And I feel like I was gifted a break with that nap that I took this morning. And I woke up feeling a lot lighter, but also really tired, as I'm sure you can imagine. And decided that this was going to be a good day. That it didn't matter that I had just gone through a really painful night and that I wasn't rested, but I set an intention, and that's something that I do every day, and that I welcome you to do as well, is setting an intention for how my day is going to go. What is the energy that I want to invite in? And something that came through really strongly was letting joy in. Letting joy be there, be felt, be experienced. So last night, this morning, while I was going through a lot of that pain, I also felt into the fact that I haven't really been touched a whole lot. And probably, honestly, the past 10 years, there wasn't a ton of physical affection in my marriage, nowhere close to the amount that I needed. And especially, in the past 3 years, oh my goodness, time flies, of me being single, even more so. So last night I really felt that coming through, and I booked a massage. Somehow managed to book a massage for today, which is going to be happening in a couple hours from now. Also booked a yin yoga class and some ways to nurture myself. So woke up knowing that was what was awaiting me, very outside of my regular schedule of things that I would do, and woke up, took my dog for a walk to the river, and swam in the glacier waters. My swims are probably 30 seconds to a minute because of how cold it is, but it's so soothing. You can see my hair is still kind of drying from my shower afterwards. And just sat in the sun with my dog beside me and just allowed the sun to be felt on my skin. And even though I couldn't feel it as much as I typically would be able to feel the joy, I allowed myself the gift of even having the potential to experience it. So it can be challenging to allow joy in. We go through experiences in our childhoods where we get really excited about things, or we're having fun, or we're in our joy, and in like a split second, it gets taken away in some way. Maybe it's by your parent not showing up who was supposed to pick you up. Maybe you get scolded. Perhaps some kind of other really intense experience comes up where someone hurts themselves, or you hurt yourself, or your parents start fighting. That could be a multitude of things, and it really depends on you and your lifetime and the experiences you've had. But know that even though those experiences may have seemed small in that moment, they were not. And they were impactful for you. And they sent an energy, they sent an understanding, they sent an impact to you that I am not safe to fully be in my joy, because that can be taken away. Or if you've gone through the separation of a family, that's going to be in your energy field too, right? For sure. That's like a given. If you've gone through a divorce or a separation or a death of a parent, any kind of abuse in your family, 100% you will also be in that energy. So it's okay. Know that it's normal to have a challenging time letting joy in. How you can know whether you have let joy in or not is if you just feel like it's hard for you to feel really like elated and free and happy. And when good things are happening around you, you find yourself in your head. Maybe you have a day of on paper great activities, and at the end of the day you are crashing in some ways. You are noticing low thoughts coming up about your own worth, how you were witnessed, things that were going on, dynamics at play. Those are all signs of having a difficult time letting joy in. You may also have an experience of not feeling like you can just fully let go in life. That's really, really difficult for you to do. You may think you don't even know how to fully let loose. And that's also from a space of not feeling safe and stable as a child. So here we are as adults. Everyone just wants to be happy, right? Like for the most part, to feel happy, to feel loved, to feel safe, to be enjoying life. And then we have these experiences that we're carrying with our inner children that aren't allowing us to. So here are some things that you can do with that. One is acknowledge it, that it's there and that it's okay and that you're going to love yourself through this. The next is setting the intention of when you are going into your day or going into an experience that you really want to enjoy yourself in and let loose for and feel joy, that you set the intention of, okay, me going into this day, me going into this experience is going to be a joyful one. So What does that mean? It means that I need to be present and that I need to be in my heart above my mind, and that whatever comes up for me that feels good in the moment, I'm going to do. Right? So you might notice this if you have kids or if you're around other people who are really playful. Maybe they're doing cartwheels or singing or being goofy, and you want to join in, but you stop yourself. So it's noticing how your inner child and yourself will feel a draw to do something playful, to be silly, to say something, to make a silly face or sound or movement, for example, or, jump off that ledge into the water or go down the slide or whatever it might be that might be coming up for you as something that would be joyful. And noticing that urge, that pull, that intuitive excitement that comes up, and following it and allowing yourself to go through with it. Because what you'll notice is then immediately after, your mind will say, before you even do it, right? You'll have the urge oh, I really want to cliff jump too. Or I really want to jump into the water. I really want to go down that slide. And then your mind quickly goes to, you're going to look so stupid on that water slide. You're an adult. People are going to judge you. What if you get stuck? What if the water slide's too hot and it burns your legs? What if? And then you just don't do it, right? You're just well, it's easier for me to just sit here, play it safe, where I'm not potentially being exposed to some level of vulnerability, some level of potentially teasing or attention or discomfort. And that's you wanting to feel safe, which is beautiful, but it's keeping you from being in your joy and following your intuition and just allowing yourself to exist in it. Another great thing that you can do is, if you find that responsibility really gets in the way of you being in joy, is then dedicating a day out of your week for joy. This is going to be a day of joy. I'm going to play. I'm not going to worry about responsibility. If you have kids, then you take them out to eat versus pre-packing their food or whatever the things are, or you prepare it a day in advance so you don't have to worry about it the day of. We're just going to do, or I'm just going to do whatever feels good in my system, whatever excites me. If that means I'm just going to lay on a blanket in the sun, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to worry about the dishes that need to be washed, the laundry I need to do, the work I should be getting done, the workout I should be doing. How it would probably make more sense if I hiked or went for a walk, because my body, I should be working out more. Just play it minute by minute, moment by moment. Maybe you even know in advance. You're I've been really wanting to go to this place or try this food or go to this spot in nature or just be in nature or paint. Then set yourself up to do that or schedule that. You're allowed to have a schedule when it comes to your joy, but it's really about giving yourself the fullest permission to just enjoy. To just enjoy your day and feel free in it. And sometimes that's easier to do because you have a container that's holding you, where the things that need to get done will get done at other times. So that's a really powerful way also to start letting joy in. And then while you're going through these experiences of, today I'm letting in joy, noticing how, what comes up for you when you are feeling drawn to joy. What is the mental dialogue? What are the blocks? And just jotting them down afterwards and being okay, well, this is what I noticed about myself. I noticed that when it comes down to really being silly and potentially looking stupid, I won't do it. And it's okay, well, why is that? Was there a time in my life that I was silly and then I was teased for it, especially like in your childhood. I would invite that, but you can start earlier and kind of work your way back. What's the worst thing that could happen if I was really silly? And is that so bad? Say it's you decide to do a cartwheel and someone sees your belly fat. And what's your worst case scenario of that? Well, now they think I'm overweight. Cool. If they judge you for it, probably don't want them in your life, right? So that might be a silly example, but there are a ton of things that you can reflect on and look at and notice. Shame is a big one. Shame is like, I'll do another live on this, and I'm going to be popping on live pretty much daily for the next little while. Shame can also stop your joy if you allow it. Because shame only gains power when you give it that power. When you stop yourself or act differently due to the shame. So if you're wanting to do the cartwheel, but you're worried your shirt's gonna move up and someone's gonna see your belly fat, and that feels shameful for you, and you don't do it, then you are giving your power to your shame. You're giving your shame more power. Whereas if you know your shirt's gonna go up and you do it anyways and enjoy it and are present in the experience, the shame might come afterwards, but it's like, okay, cool, but at least I got to enjoy myself in the moment. You know? So they're pretty simple things that you can do, but they take courage and they take a commitment to yourself and to the life that you want and the joy that you want to experience. Joy is a choice. It really is a choice. And it involves vulnerability. You can't play it safe and have joy. So giving yourself the permission to be you in all the ways and follow your inner calling, even when you want to stop the joy from coming in, even when your ego and your mind want to sabotage it. It's accessible and it's there, and just requires some reflection as well. We will be 150% covering the topic of joy in my program called The Permission Slip. That's starting July 14th. It's an 8-week journey. And it's all about giving yourself the permission to live and to live fully and to allow joy in and to be seen for who you are and to love who you are and accept her and process when the stuff comes up and the emotions come up and your deepest wounding and pain shows itself, so that you can still be with it, that you can move it through, that you can free it, so that you can then feel the joy and feel good and feel fulfilled and excited about life and yourself and all that is to come. So registration for that is staying open until next Monday, so for another week, and we start the following Wednesday. If you want to learn more about that, you can click the link on my bio or send me a DM. It's going to be a really, really awesome program. But yes, I hope this resonated and helped on some level for you. If you practice some of these things, let me know how it goes, or if you have any questions, feel free to message me as well or comment on this. Beautiful. Mwah. Thank you for watching and have a joyous rest of your day.